This
to,
conference will now be recorded.
okay, now it's recorded. And I want to thank everyone. And in the earlier meeting, we didn't get a chance to, while we're waiting, to acknowledge Sean Harrison as well. We acknowledge Steve Mackey in his, on this great promotion. But I just want to acknowledge Sean Harrison as well to the 8th degree black belt as well. And just, Steve, do you hold off on that one? Okay, so we're gonna have Steve officially sign that as well to make sure that we acknowledge Sean today as well. Jim Cox, are you on? Okay, we'll wait a little bit.
Oh, you're doing the business. Go to meeting business.
Okay.
Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
Okay, Kung, you have the list of the order, and we're gonna kind of make this a
90 people
I want to just describe how honored we are to have Keith Yates, Alan Steen, and I don't know if everybody's got in yet, but Rudy Smedley and all the great brothers, and we look at them as our forefathers in Texas of the martial arts, because that's where it all started, you know, the blood and guts and everything, that all we did in Oklahoma, Kansas City, they did a little Minneapolis, but it just all the founders from Mr. Wall, Bob Wall, and Ed Parker, all the people that are on their certificate that Mr. Burleson gave. It's just an honor to have them. And then the AKBBA, Jim Cox, we're waiting for him because he was Mr. Harrison's third black belt. And to talk about just some of the history of what we've gone through and the development of the style and the champions and all the things that we've been blessed to do. Out of all of them, none of us, I think, knew the biggest benefit when we started karate and the martial arts is the lifelong friendships and the fellowship and just the brotherhood that we've all become and part of it. And that's why whether we have degrees or certificates or promotions, it's about that brotherhood, that fellowship, that love for each other. And it's just something I'm very thankful for. And I'm just very thankful for all of you that, you know, a lot of us, this is more of a family than our real families. And my guru over there is saying my camera's not on. I'll try to fix it, but I would like to, I'm looking for
your camera off because they determined you're too ugly.
Well, I'm gonna cry for a little bit. Oh, there's share my webcam. So I'll try to figure out my camera. I think it's coming, and I'll get a hold of Mr. Cox because I don't think everybody knew we're switching over. But when Rudy Smedley's on, we sure want to know, because there you are. I see you now, sir. And I'm gonna have to hop off.
Hey Jimmy, can you see me?
Introductions. Yep. While I get Anna Burleson to get Pat on here, and but Kung,
I don't think anybody's in a hurry.
Kung, you're an administrator. Why don't you mute everybody and then go through the certificates and tell everyone, you know, that what we're asking Steve.
Okay, so I've muted everyone. And what we just did prior to this was officially go through the certificates for promotions. First one was for an honorary promotion for Jim Harrison to 10th degree black belt. And thanks to the organization under Mr. Burleson and others, and Bob Wall and others who were the directors. I want to read out the list names of directors who are part of this to invite us, the Bushido Khan family, into your family. The honorary directors are Steve Armstrong, Ed Parker, Jim Harrison, June Rhee, Gene LaBelle, Robert Trias, Joe Lewis, Bob Wall, and Bill Wallace, with Bob Wall as the director. So it's a huge event. We wanted to do this to surprise Steve. So I happened to be on spring break with my kids, and on transit I came up here and took time off to meet up with Steve. But much of this coordination was done by Jim Hartley and others to get these certificates signed by others, and it took a lot of effort, but it came to this fruition. Took Steve Mackey to dinner, and he was wondering what the heck I was doing here. And then we sent this package thinking that it was for me, that something that Jim Hartley sent to me, so Steve wouldn't look at it. The funny story was the package came to a house, but it wasn't this house. It was a house with another address, which Billy had to go find out. It was actually up the road in some drug dealer's house. So Billy had to cautiously go up to the house, try to say, knock on the door. Hey, did something arrive? And nonchalantly they said, yeah, this thing here. So they handed this envelope to Billy, and we finally got these certificates. So thankfully everyone's safe, but Billy is he's a smooth talker. So we were able to get the certificates for Jim Harrison, also for honorary ninth degree for Mark Payne, and then ninth degree black belt for Steve Mackey, and 8th degree black belt for Sean Harrison.
And we have Mr. Burleson on here now too. So if somebody can help him unmute, he can give us his blessing. And then Mr. Smedley, is Mr. Steen on? You're muted again. Sorry.
I don't see Mr. Steen yet,
Okay. Well, I'll let you
but
introduce
I
the
know that there are several, all of our East Coast associates are trying to get on.
Okay, can you unmute him so we can hear him? Bob, while we're trying to get Mr. Burleson, would you like to say anything, Mr. Wall?
Yeah, I would like to say that I love Pat Burleson. He and Jim Harrison were my first two heroes, and they are two of the greats. And they've created a lot of other greats that are on this. And so blessings to all of you. It's great just to be able to honor Steve Mackey, who's one of the guys who's earned it. We were so proud to do those certificates. And Pat Burleson, I consider it an honor. Although we do not agree, it's an honorary 10th degree because Jim Harrison actually isn't with us. That makes you a real 10th. I don't know if he thinks it's an honor, but I think it's an honor. He's probably guarding Jesus tonight, looking down here at all of his phenomenal black belts. But what's really important is the people, the black belts that the great Pat Burleson and Jim Harrison turned out.
Okay.
That
Bob is speaking.
is unbelievable. And congratulations to these two great martial artists and Steve Mackey, who's another one of them.
Wall. Okay, can you hear us now?
We can hear you.
Yes,
Okay, good. There you go, Pat. You're
All right, Mr. Burleson, we're all waiting to hear whatever words of blessing, wisdom.
You got a previous conversation, you had asked a question to me, and before I get Steve Mackey.
How do I call somebody while I'm on the phone?
Steve,
Linda or Sam, how do I call?
let me see if I can get this in. Steve Mackey is definitely accepted and endorsed by me for advancement in rank, as the question was. Now, I'm wide open to anything else you might talk about.
Well, we are just so honored to have your blessing, Mr. Burleson, and when we started looking at, we had a group in Kansas City that under Mark Payne promoted a couple of us. And then we thought about whether we should talk to them. And we said, there is nobody besides Mr. Burleson, that we should talk to first. And then we've also talked to the guys with Rudy Smedley and his group. And we just feel like such a family with all of Texas. And every time I go down there, I come back Kansas City and Kansas, and I say, we're doing it wrong. We need to be like the Texans. They're all brothers. They're all getting older, but they still all train together. They support each other. They have tournaments and celebrations, promotions. And I love that family tree that Mr. Yates did with all of you together. And it's just, we felt like family. And when I called, all of you have just opened your arms and hearts because we're, I'm not on camera, but I'm near tears, just thinking we've gone through with Jim, and it's kind of like we've lost him twice. We lost him when he left Kansas City first, and we all got back together. Now we've lost him, and just to have this continuity with the family is a huge blessing. And we just thank, all of you, the forefathers and the founders, that karate martial arts wouldn't be what it is in the United States without you, and would not have impacted all the hundreds and thousands of lives you all have. So I just want to thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I did, after we had a little practice Zoom with George Clark last night. He stressed me out so much I had to go to church online. And they did. What they were talking about was, don't quit praying for somebody just because they're older. It don't mean Jesus is done. Keep praying for them to make it to 90 and 100, no matter how sick they are. So that's what we all going to do for you, Mr. Burleson.
Well, I'm more than friendly about moving forward on this and getting together with it. I think we've come out of the backwoods and horror days of martial arts, the government and everything. And finally, I'm hoping that we will be able to conduct group business like old time. And we're going to need an enormous amount of organization to make this happen. And I'm wide open to move forward. And I will say, I was at the inception of your organization as it formed. I know the history of it and everything. I consider it an honor to be involved with your organization.
Thank you, sir. George Clark, why don't you go next, sir?
This is just an honor for everybody on here for me. The people I always, idols of mine. And to be able to actually be a part of this is a blessing. And you set my life. You guys gave me a direction in my life when I didn't have one. No. And I followed it, and I think I came out pretty good. But I love all you guys, man. You mean so much to me, and it's just my family. And thank you so much.
Yeah, he was an animal when he came in.
George got from Animal Al to Gorgeous George.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
I would like to defer now to Mr. Rudy Smedley, who was a WAKO, is that right? World champion.
That is correct.
And one of the first 10th degree black belts under Mr. Steen. And he said Mr. Steen was trying to join us. I hope he does. But we have Keith Yates, who is also Mr. Steen's first 10th degree black belt and just a statesman of the arts, has written a lot of books and helped run a lot of events. He helped us do the Jim Harrison tribute with, Bob Wall and me and Jamie Cashin and Steve Selby and Keith Yates. We all put that together. That was a wonderful event. But what I'd like to do, Rudy, is maybe if you could speak, and then you introduce one of your guys, and then we'll go back to George Clark, and I'd like him to introduce David Coase, and we tag team back and forth the Texans and the non-Texans, and that'll be fun. Is that okay?
Whatever you need.
Okay.
First of all, Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Let me first give a slight correction. I'm not one of the first 10th degree black belts that Mr. Steen, Grandmaster Steen, has turned out. But I am one of his 10th degree black belts, along with Hans Gert Hens, which he's on the right side here on my camera or my computer, who's joining us from Frankfurt, Germany, to honor Steve and his promotion. And I'd like to just say this before I turn this over to Mr. Yates to speak, because I don't speak in front of him very often. This may, in fact, be the first time I've ever spoken in front of him, so I'm a little nervous. Texas is known for, like Mr. Burleson and Mr. Steen have always said, a blood and guts attitude, a blood and guts approach to the arts. Kata was, it was and always will be an important part. But I can tell you that not very many people in the world have done or achieved more in kata on a national and worldwide basis other than Grandmaster Keith Yates. But I will assure you that just because his main accolades, he has more accolades in kata, he can tell you anything you want to know about kata, up to and including what these little small moves that I really had no idea. I was just, as I went through the ranks, was learning these little moves and had an idea of what they were supposed to look like. But I can tell you, over the last 2 years of working with Mr. Yates, Grandmaster Yates, he has demonstrated on me those little moves that I thought were just, they were there to make the movement, make the kata go smoothly and fluidly. So there are, so there's the Grandmaster Yates, and there's Grandmaster Hans Gert Hens right next to him over here, or at least on mine. And of course, who I had my very first lesson with, the great Pat Burleson, 51 years ago. 51 years ago. So, Grandmaster Burleson, it is wonderful to see you. And you have all of our prayers and well wishes. Anna, if you're there, I think you probably are, but we're certainly glad that, that you're taking care of him.
Did someone say me? Okay.
We thank you for being such a wonderful wife to Grandmaster Burleson.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah. And we wish you many more years of that, by the way.
Thank you so much. I would love that.
Yeah. Yes, we love y'all. So there are some people that cannot get on to this for some reason. I don't know why. Trust me, I wouldn't be on here if it weren't for my wife. So I would say that, and then I'm going to turn this over to Grandmaster Yates. Everybody's heard of the Alamo, and that basically where 187 Texans back in 1836 defended somewhere, arguably, between 3,500 and 7,000 Mexicans under General Santa Anna for 13 days. And they all had a chance to get out, to walk out, to get to freedom they were fighting for, and the love of that freedom. And they were promised something from Santa Anna. He backed out on it, and you just don't do that in Texas. And so, they knew that they were going to their grave. And on March 6th at 4:30 in the morning, that happened. So these are people that Grandmaster Steen, who is one of Grandmaster Burleson's dearest friends, and I've had the opportunity to train with both of them, along with Billy Bramer and now Grandmaster Yates. But the people that this is what I had this prepared for. Number one, of course, was Grandmaster Alan Steen, great Grandmaster Alan Steen, just like great Grandmaster Pat Burleson, and Grandmaster Keith Yates, Grandmaster 10th Degree Keith Batali, Grandmaster Art Heller, Grandmaster Bruce Bruschke, Grandmaster Mike Geneva, Grandmaster Hans Jerdhans, who is with us, and also Grandmaster Ted Gambardella, who was supposed to be on us or with us and on this call, but for some reason they can't. I don't know. There may be a limit. I don't have answers to that, to the computer questions, but these people that I have mentioned their names, and they're not all from Texas, but they all have come and competed in Texas, and they all have the same thing to say that that I've already told you. When you come to Texas, you better have two things. You better have your guts, and you better have some blood to lose. Now, things have watered down a little bit over the years, but when you talk about Keith Batali, who's arguably one of the best fighters of all time, he talks about cutting his teeth, learning how to really fight in Texas. And the same thing goes for all of these greats. Art Heller, who was one of Grandmaster Steen's first black belts, talks about it. He got his black belt from Mr. Steen back in the 60s. So those names, and again, I'm going to read them one more time. Grandmaster Alan Steen, Grandmaster Pat Burleson, Grandmaster Keith Yates, Grandmaster Keith Batali, Grandmaster Art Heller, Grandmaster Bruce Bruschke, Grandmaster Mike Geneva, Grandmaster Hans Jerdhans, and Grandmaster Ted Gambardella. That if I were in the Alamo, these are people that I would want with me. And I have no doubt in my mind that these people reflect the same bloodline as those who knew they were going to die and went ahead when they could have gotten away, went ahead and stuck in and told those guys, come get you some. So I'm honored to be here to speak to Mr. Mackey. Steve, you and I've done battle 3 times, and it doesn't really matter what how the turnout was. We both had victories, but you know, when you fight Steve Mackey, even if you win, you lose. So that's one of those. He's just one of those kind of guys. And look where he came from. Okay, Grandmaster Harrison. So we're all proud to be here for you, Steve, and we think that you're well. I know that you're recommended for 9th Dan, and we're well appreciative to be a part of that rank for you. So from Texas, congratulations. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Yates at this time so he can tell you what I have in honor of you. Okay. So Grandmaster Yates.
Thank you, Rudy.
Well, the only thing I would say is,
You're welcome, Steve.
As Texans, we appreciate all the accolades about the fighters and the pioneers in Texas, but you know, we certainly didn't stand alone. I'm looking at Master Wall there out in California. I think of Chuck Norris and some of the guys in New York, and certainly Jim Harrison. I actually met Mr. Harrison before I made black belt back in 1966. He came to one of Alan Steen's U.S. Karate Championships. And of course, I was just a little kid at the time, but over the years, I got to know him more as a man and as a friend. And so I highly respected Mr. Harrison and the legacy that he did over Kansas City and throughout the Midwest. And so I'm just proud to represent Mr. Steen. I guess he's having a hard time getting on the computer. But I was at Mr. Steen's house last week He's doing well. We talked actually about the AKBBA and expanding its reach across the country. So I'm just proud to represent the AKBBA in Texas, and I just want to offer congratulations to not only Mr. Mackey, but all of you guys whose faces I see here. I'm pleased that all of you guys kept up with your martial arts training, even if you haven't kept up with technology. So it's a privilege to be here with you guys tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you. Hans, what have you got to say? Mr. Grandmaster Jordan.
For the technology, I just posted the link on my Facebook in the Black Belt Club. So if you have somebody, like I sent it to Ted Gambardella or anybody you need to private message them, tell them to find Jim Hartley on Facebook and the link's there to join. Might be a little easier. So, okay. Did I interrupt you, Mr. Smedley? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was from Frankfurt, Germany. One of Grandmaster Steen's 10th degree black belts, representing the AKBBA, the American Karate Black Belt Association. Hans Jordan, what have you got to say to us?
We need him to unmute. Unmute, sir.
Yeah, Hans, I think you're muted.
On the bottom of your screen, you got to unmute it.
I just turned this off.
I think you really got unmuted.
Okay.
So Jim, go ahead and move on.
George Clark, please introduce David Coase.
Definitely, it's my best friend, David Coase. David and I
It's
go
your
back.
only friend, George. Tell the truth. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. We love you.
David
Go
and
ahead.
I back to the 70s forces, and then David retired from Special Forces. He went to the FBI, which he retired from there. Incredible human being, but him and Mr. Harrison, Mr. Burleson, and Mr. Wall have become really, really close friends. His ability and what he did in Special Forces and the FBI is unparalleled. And so I definitely so glad because he became part of our family, and he was promoted to ninth Dan from Mr. Burleson, Mr. Harrison, and Mr. Wall.
Well, thank you, George. I just feel very fortunate and honored to be part of this meeting. Really, all I have to contribute is to congratulate Steve on your promotion. It's a long time coming. Of course, I knew how Jim felt about you. I've known Jim since 1978. Met him many years ago, and I just feel that it's a long time coming from somebody of your caliber, and it's wonderful to finally see you get that rank because that's what you deserve. And that's pretty much all I really have to say. I think there are other people who have some more meaningful things to say than I do.
Thank you, sir.
Jim, I just got a text from somebody that I've never really heard of, some guy named Troy Dorsey.
He's a wannabe down there in Texas, isn't he? And has kicked everybody's rear.
Yeah, yeah. He's unable to make it, and he gave his best effort. But Steve, I'm reading what he just said. Be sure to tell Steve congratulations on his ninth degree black belt, and that you one of the toughest guys that he's ever seen. And I have to say, I have to agree with him. So coming from Troy Dorsey, the only person ever to be world champion at the same time in point karate full contact karate, kickboxing, and boxing at the same time. So, Steve, I hope you heard that.
I did. Thank you very much.
I'll pass
Means
that
a
on
lot.
to you.
I think I'm gonna cry.
Well, Troy's made me cry.
Makes me cry every day.
Okay, George, would you introduce Sean Harrison?
Sean, first of all, I've always said to everybody I ever met, the best martial artist that ever came out of our system was Sean Harrison. Sean was good at everything he did, everything. Judo, jiu-jitsu, karate, everything. And he's the best athlete and best all-around martial artist ever came out. And we are so proud of you, Sean, getting your 8th degree. Long time coming. And all of great stories about you because you're an incredible human being.
Thank you, George. And I didn't have much choice about being a good martial artist. So it's just survival. But better to give than to receive. And so I put that into practice. Jimmy, this is cool. Thank you. I see so many faces that I recognize from my youth. Thank you all for loving my father. And Steve, it's great to see you and be here to participate. I see you're still hanging out with Billy and Kenny. I don't know if that's wise, though.
Hey, easy.
But I wrote a few notes. I just wanted to tell you that you were really a bright star in my father's and Bushidokan's universe. And through your dedication, commitment, perseverance, you distinguished yourself not only as a martial artist, but as an athlete. And you made my father and all of us very proud. And you were always a role model and example, and still are for us. And even as, we face challenges in this life, we have our own personal struggles as individuals and battles. You're still an example of courage for us, how you faced yours, and we draw strength from that. And so I'm grateful for that. And I just want to thank you for being the person that you are. And I want to thank all of you for just how you've enriched my father's life and our lives, and for your love and your goodness, and warms my heart. And I'm grateful to participate. Thank you very much for including me. God bless.
Very nice, Sean.
Thanks, guys.
George, are you there? Jim Cox is with us now. Can you hear us, sir?
I am here.
Jim Cox, let me introduce you, if that's okay. Mr. Cox is he's the 3rd black belt under Mr. Harrison, and I'll let you tell his exact history when he started. And he ran the dojo for Jim before Mark Payne took it over, and he was Mark Payne's instructor and Steve's. I think he sold the school, one of the schools, to Steve, and he's one of our godfathers here in Kansas City, and just a great role model. He's a professor at university now. He's been a international marketing teacher and executive with Hallmark, but just a wonderful man. Reminds me a lot of my dad, who was also a Jesuit trained, very smart person, and won every argument I ever got into. So I don't argue. We don't argue with Mr. Cox, but we honor him as one of our top men here in Kansas City.
Thank you, Jimmy. You mentioned your dad being Jesuit educated. Your dad and Fidel Castro were all Jesuit educated, by the way. It's a privilege to be here with all, and it's only appropriate for all the people from Texas who are all Jim's friends. And Mr. Yates, you said something about Jim going to Texas in 2016. I remember that. I started with Jim in 1964. And when I started with Jim, it was brown belt. Very good brown belt. And I remember when he came in, wax, and Jim was wearing a belt for the first time. And Jim Wax had studied in Okinawa, system. We were Shorin-ryu system, and very, very traditional, steeped in tradition. And Jim had told us that his test, he had just come from St. Louis taking his test for black belt, that his test was to start with his first kata, and when he bowed out of one, he was bowing into the next one. And that at that time was the traditional test. Of course, there had been sparring along the way. So Jim came in, and that was his first black belt class, first class as a black belt. And at that time, he sparred with us all. I remember it well. Believe me, I remember it well. And then Jim went to Texas, as you said, Mr. Yates, in 64, 65, there, 66, somewhere in there. And he came back, and he was really a little bit different. He respected everybody down there so much. He pulled us together, and he said, these guys are the real deal. These guys hit like they should hit, and when I hit back, that's just fine with them. He loved it, and he loved these guys in Texas. He talked about Alan Steen knocking him out of the ring. He talked about Ed Daniels almost knocking him out. He talked about Fred Wren, showed us the scar. He talked about everybody down there, Pat Burleson, and it was quite a brotherhood. So what happened at that point is Jim said, we're going to change our style. Our style is no longer Shorin-ryu because we're going to these tournaments. And he opened up, he was very visionary, and he started a very eclectic style of teaching. He said, we're going to go to tournaments, we're going to learn from them. He said, I'm going to show you what I just learned in Texas. So we would go to California, and we go to the internationals, which Bob Wall, I think you'll agree, was one of the best showcases ever for talent. And we'd watch. And Jim said, come on over here and watch this guy. He's really good. He's a Korean stylist. His name happened to be Chuck Norris. He said, come on over here and watch this guy. Great guy. Name happened to be Jerry Taylor, who worked out under Chuck Norris. And on it went all day long. And I remember Pat Burleson fighting back then, which was a little bit like watching a locomotive going down the track. You just watched him go through, no stopping. And we came back and we incorporated all these things. So for me, Bushido-kan was a style. It wasn't an association, it was a style. And what Jim did was he built a brotherhood. He built a fraternity. It was kind of like having a whole bunch of guys who were 400 hitters, and he handed them all the bats, said, okay, go do your thing, do your best, hit away, learn. And he allowed us to develop on our own. And that is a mark of a great manager and a great instructor, I think, because he gave us the foundation, he gave us the direction, and he gave us the technique, and he always corrected us, but he allowed us to develop on our own. So in 68, when I got my black belt, our association was the American Karate Black Belt Association. And I just went upstairs to review the certificate. On that certificate is the name of Alan Steen, Pat Burleson, Fred Wren, Roger Carpenter, and Jim Harrison. And I'll tell you what, I never realized what a valuable possession that has become. That is in my collection for the next several generations. So it's wonderful that the Texas guys, as we used to refer to you, are here with us and have embraced us, because we're a little bit, since Jim died, kind of a bunch of orphans and looking for a home, a place to land. And Pat Burleson brought us in. I can't say enough good things. I'm still a card-carrying member of the AKBBA, by the way, and always will be. And when I signed up, I said, wow, what a group. What an endorsement. What a great group, what a great organization to be part of. So I look at this as an extension of our fraternity. So thank you so much. And I want to acknowledge some people. We've lost some people. Obviously, Jim, Mark Payne, Ned Day, who I trained with, Tom Whiteman. Rudy, you mentioned about fighting Steve and how you might win, but you got beat up doing it, you lost doing it. That was my training with Tom. That guy, you go in and get a point, but it really wasn't worth it. Jimmy Brock, Johnny Hayes, Harry Parker, and our friend Bob Boggs is going through a difficult challenge health-wise. So Bob, if you're within earshot of that, we wish you well. So I look upon you, and it's a privilege to be here. I see my friend Bob Wall, people whose name I've seen. I haven't seen a lot of you in many, many years, but it's a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you so much for bringing us into your fold. God bless.
I want to mention the fact, excuse me, I want to mention the fact that some of you may or may not know that we just recently, within this last year, lost arguably one of the best, not one of the best, arguably the best, certainly the best kicker of all time, and that is Skipper Mullins. Grandmaster Skipper Mullins passed away. How long ago, Mr. Yates?
I was about in the middle of the pandemic, so I know we had a real restrictive funeral ceremony, but it was pretty nice with the fire department and the U.S. Marines all there.
Right. So, you know, he was the All-American boy, and so for those of us that are old enough to remember, he always will be the All-American boy. You know,
there's still
videos of him. That's why people talked about him even when he was a man. He's the All-American boy. So, the boy, what a bad man. Boy, what a bad man. So I just had that. Felt like that needed to be put in there.
The next one I'd like to share, because he's an All-American boy. He's like a beach boy out there in San Diego, and all the Mackey brothers. We all loved them, but we all hated them because they were so good looking. None of them could even get a date in Shawnee, and or they would steal ours. So Kenny Mackey was. Kenny, are you the oldest?
No, I'm the middle guy. Billy's youngest,
okay.
Steve's the oldest.
Okay, well, we sure want to. Kenny really was helping behind the scenes with Billy to set this up and set Steve up, so to speak. So we sure want to give you a chance to congratulate your brother and say whatever it's on your heart, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you setting this up. It's really a wonderful event. And Kung, for you making the physical appearance there at Steve's house. I can't tell you thank you enough. So that's wonderful. I can't believe it's been 45 years since I've heard or seen many of the folks on this line. So, you know, time flies. It's crazy. But I'm very proud of Steve as an older brother. And I truly appreciate you guys honoring him with this promotion. And certainly Mark Payne, who was very instrumental in my training when I first joined. So thank you all very much, and I really appreciate it.
I'm too slow on the button. Sorry, guys. Is Billy Mackey there with you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Let me just tell a quick introduction. Billy he had the best hair of all of us in the 80s, the disco days. And he was so smooth, and he would just beat the snot out of all of us, but I mess his hair up. But I had a time where I got discouraged. I just got done. I lost one match in wrestling in my senior year, and that made me a failure because I was on Sean Harrison's team because he was undefeated state champ, and I got third. And I kind of dropped off the map and didn't go to the dojo, didn't do anything for a couple months. And Billy Mackey called me up and gave me a pep talk, half chewed my butt, half gave me a pep talk, and got me back in the dojo. And I don't know what would have happened if I had got back to the family. So I always appreciated that. He's a great man, great fighter, and down there with his brother. So go ahead, Billy. Show him your hair.
Yeah, right. I've still got hair for some of y'all anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
This really is a neat thing for Steve. I appreciate you all being involved in it and honoring him with this promotion. I think it's well deserved. We all know, anybody that knew Steve was around him during the old Bushidokan days. I think goes without being said, he was just a good teacher. He reached out to people and he touched people, much like Jim Cox touched me. Joe Smedley touched me, just a lot harder. But some of these guys had the ability to really connect with the students, and I think Steve was one of them. I think that has a lot to do with his success with having the students he had and them going on and doing what they did. That being said, thank you guys. Like Kenny, I haven't seen a lot of you guys in forever, and it's a thrill to see some of you guys and hear you talking. Enjoyed it thoroughly, and y'all have a good night, and thank you.
Thank you, Billy.
No
And we did get confused because we did a short practice. Well, we did a meeting with Zoom, and that died. And Bob Thurman, are you still out there? Because I'd like you to go. I'm looking for Bob. Is he there? He messaged me. And yeah, you are. There you are, Thunder. I see you. Bob, you didn't get to talk on this one. Unmute yourself. And while you are, if Dave Candy is around, there's two people that we need to, as the Bushitakon guys, we're all, we learned our techniques, our basics great. But what gave us a jump start is when the Rocky movie came out. Bob, I'm waiting for you to get unmuted, Bob Thurman. Rocky came out. We all went to local boxing club, Tomahawk Boxing Club, and there was these geniuses there. Dave Kennedy and John Brown ran the club. And turns out it's been the #1 amateur boxing program in the nation for years, and we fell into. And Bob was a Golden Gloves champ, and George Clark, a lot of the guys. I didn't compete boxing because I wanted to keep my brain cells. I wasn't tough as them, but I trained with them. And Bob, he has a lot to say about Steve because he was his first black belt. And Bob, can you unmute your button? You know how to go at the bottom of the screen there? You got to put your hand on there and go down and click that microphone at the bottom. Get Betsy in there. But some of you didn't get to hear Bob, and he shared on the other one pretty good. But if Ronnie Shalene, if you can unclick yourself, why don't you take a turn while Bob, go get Betsy. Click. You got to scroll down and it'll light up the microphone. Ronnie, go ahead. Kid Shalene, everyone.
I thought me to talk, Jimmy.
I will tell you guys, Ronnie battled and won throat cancer, so he's an overcomer and one of the greatest, most wonderful people you know. Look him up on Facebook and talk to him there. Make friends with him because it is hard to talk to him for his throat. So, Ronnie, short and sweet as you want, but we love you, buddy.
Appreciate you, love y'all, man.
So when Jeff Payne was beating the heck out of me, Ronnie taught me how to block his left hook and save my life. So I love Ronnie. And Bob Cry, I need you to pop on and tell people how to raise their hand if they want to talk. Because I don't know how GoToMeeting works. Are you there, Bob?
Yeah, I'm here.
How do we raise our hand if they want to talk?
So in this is an open meeting, so they don't have that ability.
Okay.
But
we'll just go. I'll go top row down. If I missed you, Chris Engels, since you signed the certificates with us, let me get you first. Chris, we call our consigliere. He's an attorney, has saved many of us a lot of headaches with his wisdom, teaching us how to stay out of trouble, which none of us have got into, but just in case we needed to. Go ahead, Chris.
It's an honor to be on this call. Steve, congratulations. Jimmy, thanks for organizing. I know you weren't the only one involved in this, so everyone who was involved in it, that's a great job. Great to see everyone.
Okay, Phil Sobel, I'm going to just go across your row. Is everybody on the rows all look the same, Bob? So we'll just go left to right. Phil? Got a funny noise on yours, Phil. Phil, there's some kind of interference on yours. We can't hear you. Okay, Kenny White, Roger Beatty. If you don't want to speak, you don't have to. I'll just give you a second. Or say congratulations.
I just want to say congratulations and wish you all the best.
Awesome. Kenny White.
Thank you very, very much. I'm,
Kenny
I'm,
White, you there?
I'm technically handicapped. In other words, I don't know how to use my computer.
No. Well, I'm going to text Bob Thurman's number so Bob can talk him through how to unmute. And Tom Athens, you know how to do this stuff. Can you unmute yourself?
Oh yeah, well guys, it's just a real honor to even be invited to this meeting. Congratulations to Steve. Long past due, incredibly well deserved. The comments that I was hearing earlier about his incredible teaching ability, that is what captured me in his classes right away. He was just a fantastic teacher. He had the ability to take complex techniques and break them down to their smaller parts and really make them very understandable, especially for new students, for the new lower Q ranks. So it's just, Steve, just congratulations, just very happy for you, and just an honor to be able to sit on this call with you guys. A lot of great black belts here, legendary. So it's just a real honor for me.
If you can't see Tom, go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
No, just thank you very much. This is blowing me away, guys. I really appreciate it.
Well, we thought it was your birthday, so I don't know if we can. No,
no, I don't need another one.
Tom Athens, if you saw his picture, in my picture in the old days, myself, Tom Athens, and Jimbo Tompkins all had the same hairdo. Everybody thought we were triplets. We all kicked the same and had the same hair. And Tom laid on beds and nails. He was tougher than us, but great guy. And Mike Roth, you're up. You got
to. First, yeah, can you hear me, Jim?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to apologize to Billy for sending the certificates to the drug house.
That's all cool, man. And I apologize for Kung telling you there's a drug house in my neighborhood. We'll let that go. Okay. Moving right along.
Hey, good seeing you, Billy. Hey, Steve, congratulations. And, you know, I came to you when I was 14 years old, and you were like a big brother, a father figure. Not old enough to be a father figure, but between the dojo and boxing, that's how I became the man I am. And I owe a lot to you. I love you. You're a great friend, and thank you for everything you've done for me.
Very cool.
Thank you, Mike.
Our baby bird. Okay, Bob Edwards, you've been ducking long enough.
First off,
wait, Bob, let me say something. This wouldn't happen without Bob Edwards. He put this, I helped, but Bob called me, said, I'm coming up there. We need to meet. What are we going to do? Or we're all just going to be, you know, wherever we are forever and we're done? Or are we going to do something and keep moving? And that's where the plan all got hatched. And then, of course, you know the rest. But Bob started it. Bob put the energy in. Thank you, Bob.
I appreciate everybody jumping on board and working on this stuff together. And first off, Steve, congratulations. I love you. I don't have the words to explain the impact you've had on my life. We're raised by a family of black belts, many here on this call, led by you. You kept us together for forever. I appreciate you. Congratulations. You deserve it. Long time overdue. I appreciate you. I also want to thank Billy, Kenny, Kung, Jimmy, all you guys for putting this together. Bob Wall. Every time I talk to you, I just die laughing. Anyway, thank you for I'm very proud to say I'm still very active, and I attribute that to you and the things I learned. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. So what's great with the technology and smart guys like Bob Cry and Kung Tran helping us is, you know, like I've done all Mr. Harrison's 60 self-defense on a video with a professional crew all split up that we can use. But to get all our things down, like I know Mr. Yates has done for you guys in your system with the books and the videos, we're just now getting there, but we're on that path. And thank God we have the technology. The guys that are still teaching, I want to hit next. Brent Anderson has a club, Ryan Richmond, and who else is still teaching out there? But Brent, why don't you jump in next, sir? He's under Fred, black belt from Fred Watson. Mr. Harrison promoted him, but he's trained by Fred, and we know how crazy and tough that was.
Yep, I had to dial in on my phone because I lost my audio somewhere on the computer. But congratulations, Steve. You know, I grew up under Fred Watson on Steve Mackey's stories and Jim Harrison stories, and had the honor to get to work out with Mr. Harrison later in life. But even though I haven't worked directly under you, Mr. Mackey, I feel like I know you because I know a lot of the things that Fred would say, and I kid him about it nowadays, and I'll say, you know, like Bushido burritos. I said, where'd you come up with that? He said, oh, I got that from Steve Mackey. He used to call us Bushido burritos, and just a bunch of other things like that. So anyway, congratulations, very well deserved, and thank you all for having me here tonight.
And he's a good guy to connect with on Facebook. He posts a lot of good, interesting articles and gets good discussions going. Okay, Ryan Richmond, are you there? Is Anna there? Turn on the camera if Anna's there. If it's just you, we don't care. Anna's this sweet little girl.
Anna, say hi.
Hi.
That's the future right there, guys. We're all has-beens, but that's the future.
Well, unlike a lot of the people on this call, I never really got to train with Mr. Mackey. He came by my school a few times and helped me teach and taught a few of his own classes, though. And I sat there and watched him. And I probably watched maybe a couple dozen of his classes, and I probably learned more in those classes than I did in a lot of other classes I've been in. It was amazing always to watch him teach and see how he interacted with his guys. It's a great honor to be here. And Mr. Mackey, congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan's
Hey, Jim, let me, Jim, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Hans, do you have your microphone on now?
Yes, I guess so.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Great.
Why don't you say a few words about Steve Mackey?
Yes.
And his 9-degree promotion.
Yes.
Hans is from Frankfurt. He's from Frankfurt, Germany. So it's like 3 o'clock in the morning there. So
it's a little bit early for me to get up. Congratulations from Germany, and as Rudy mentioned before, well deserved, and my greatest congratulations from Germany. I'm happy to be a part of all of this, and I'm still teaching on a daily basis, and I have 5 to 6 classes, but right now we have the lockdown also in Germany, and we are only allowed to train privately. So now I have a couple private trainings a day, and it's even much harder to train a whole group. It's easier to train one person personally, and that gives me a lot of experience in this part of teaching in this epidemic. And once again, I'm happy to be with all the honorable persons over here, and my best wishes from Germany. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you, Hansi.
Thank you.
And, I did, Mr. Smedley, I did send to our people, if you're doing it right, like Mr. Smedley says, you wear your gi top at least at these. And Mr. Wall did, a few of them did, but I don't see any of our guys. Some of them might not even know where theirs is. We better get together.
Mr. Yates has his on.
We're going to be part of it. Yeah.
Along with his American Karate Black Belt Association 50th anniversary patch.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Mine's here. Let's see. That's Genre. Yeah.
we have another man who's kind of a star from our heritage who has gone on to not just master Bushido Con, but done a lot of other. I'll let him tell you some of the things he's done. But Mike Morton has been down in Colombia, but he trains the Mexican police. So he's specialized in all kinds of weapons training and, some serious stuff like David Coe's at George, of course, with guns and everything. But Mike, if you can unmute, it's your turn. But kind of tell them where you've gone, because a lot of us, we know your name. A lot of them know your names, but haven't got to hear what you've been up to the last 30 years.
Can you hear me all right, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Hey, first of all, Steve, it's great to see you, brother. It's been 35 years and you look great. So I want to send you that love.
Smile big.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's got to be overwhelming, but it's so nice. It's so good to see, all my old friends. And I was so glad that Jim Cox reached out to me and reconnected after 35 years. But yeah, I'm a international trainer. Come May, it'll be 47 years straight for me. I still train. I still teach. I teach in Latin America, a little bit in the Middle East. I guess the fancy term is a private military contractor. And I teach hand-to-hand and weapons. That's my specialty. So, I really like to give a shout out to Steve and also to Jim Cox for instilling me that discipline just to drive on, through pain and difficulty and suffering, both physical and emotional, and just get the job done, get the mission done. And it's been a great benefit to me. And, you guys and you others, my contemporaries, Jimmy Hartland and I have, since we've reconnected, about how many bruised ribs we've given each other, So, but yeah, I live in I'm the other international caller. I live in Colombia.
My email, right? Or my link.
Text message.
Okay.
So I might have to hang up.
Okay.
You got a text from me.
Okay, hold on.
It says, hey, Mr. Thurman, and then there's a telephone
Bob,
number.
hey, Bob Thurman, you did it. Just stop talking until it's your turn now. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay.
Hey, I'm not
on the phone now with my computer.
That's a blessing.
Hello?
So listen, Steve, I'm going to yield back to the group. It's just great to see you, man. If I get up to Florida, I'll come by and we'll go out and get a bite to eat. So I want to send my love along with our other brothers here. Thanks so much, and thank you to Jimmy and Bob Edwards for getting this thing together.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, Thunder.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
cool, man. I'm just proud to be a member of Brute MacheteCon. I was so lucky to have Steve for an instructor. I started with Ed Bixby. They moved to Montana. After that happened, Steve just took over the reins. I moved down to Broadway Dojo and everything started there. And I just got real lucky to have him involved in my whole fight career. We kicked a lot of ass. Took a few beatings too, along the way. And
I'm
it was
muted.
a heck of a career. I had a good time. I love Steve and the whole MacheteCon organization and the family as well. You guys hear that? Hello?
Thank you, Bob. You're the man.
No, man, thank you, Steve. Thank you big time.
No, thank you.
You've touched a lot of lives, Steve, and most of them don't have the ability to get on the computer. They'd tell you.
Well, that's like me. I really appreciate everything you guys do.
I've got a group. Phil Sobel, get ready. We'll give you another try in a minute. But this is a group, we've kind of and Mark Payne especially, we worked on different rank requirements that put our history together, kind of like how to tell history, different styles. We did brown belt instead of self-defense or fighting combinations, 20 for points, 20 for kickboxing, 20 for street. And they're named after George Clark or Steve Mackey, or, they're all named after you guys so that we teach a history lesson about you and people learn them. So all my people that don't even know y'all, that split off in different groups, still know the names and a little bit of history. There's one group that my mother-in-law Helen started with Mark Payne's son, her first student, for special needs kids. And she almost 40 years has had dojos for that, trained volunteers, takes volunteers in all styles, but there's volunteers that have got a black belts certified through me and Mark Payne on here. John Erickson and Ann Fraser, Bill Sobel, and Helen's here with me. So John, why don't you go first and see if you technical guys can use your computers.
Yeah, it's a real honor to be on the call. Steve, we hear your stories all the time, and they're always just mind-boggling. And meeting you in person and having stopped by the dojo has been awesome. Congratulations and well-deserved. And Jimmy's right. Those names are on our curriculum. So it's amazing that you guys actually exist. So congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Steve, how old are you now, Helen?
I don't know.
Steve, this is your, you look at the camera here.
Oh.
Helen's here. She's 86. She still drops and does 30 push-ups with me in the garage in the mornings. So anybody that's under that and wants to slow down, she can call you a pansy and it'll motivate you. So we can't give up.
Hi, Steve. Congratulations. I enjoyed working with you, and I always felt like you gave me as much respect as you did the guys. Not everybody does that. So thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Ann Fraser, one of he was the first one to, Mark Payne made up a new test for purple belt where you had to break 5 different breaks in a row. Dan smoked that. She weighed about 80 pounds at the time. Are you there, Ann?
I'm there. Okay, Steve, I got to work at your place occasionally. That was always a special treat for me. And I do have a son who's now an old guy too. And he was going to tournament when he was a little guy, and it was very important in his reaching adulthood, becoming responsible. And thanks for your contributions, and I appreciate the time that I was able to be with you.
Thank you so much.
Your son, Tracy, was in the military, right?
He is still, he's just at this time right now gotten to where he will be able to retire from the Army Reserves whenever he gets old. Yes, he's just put in all the time now.
That's wonderful. Okay, I see Phil Sobel. Thank you. Try it again.
They got me hooked up to where it told me what I have to do.
Might have to call in on your phone, Phil. Not working, sorry. But Phil is a very dedicated instructor. The heart these guys have is they don't just work with, they work with kids that are autistic and special needs of all different levels, but all the way to quadriplegics and paraplegics. It's amazing. Everybody look at Phil here. He says, congratulations, Mr. Mackey. He drew a sign for you, Steve. You see it?
Yes.
And Phil is our dojo carpenter. He's a high level IT guy, but his hobby is remodeling dojos for us. He's got every tool in the world.
All right.
Okay, I'm looking to see who did I miss. Jenny, is that Jenny Whitlock, or am I reading that wrong? Jenny or Jerry? It's Jenny.
Yeah, it's me, Jenny Whitlock.
Okay, you got to say congratulations at least. Whatever
Absolutely.
you want to say, Jenny.
Yeah, I came up under Jim Hartley and Mark Payne, and started in Ranch Martin '84. So I saw you around and was always impressed with you, and I'm really glad that they were able to put this all together and give you the honor that you deserve. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Steve, I had communicated with Dan Kennedy, and he was going to try. I think he might be listening or watching, but representing him is one of his top black belts, one of my buddies, who's also a very solid guy in the martial arts, but a great mentor. He kind of mentored one of my sons, and I want to send him the next two. They need a lot of help too. But Mr. Mather, are you on there? And Ron is a triathlete, just a great athletic guy. Still works out a lot. Swims with Kevin Hillhouse, right? Are you there, Ron? Good luck, Phil.
Yep, feel no
Phil.
good.
Okay, Ron Mather must. I'll text him. He must have walked away, so I'll keep talking
Hey,
about
Jim.
him. And who did? I'm sorry.
I said, Jim, this is
Yes,
Keith
sir.
Yates. I've got to
Keith,
run,
go ahead.
but I just wanted to again say congratulations to Steve, and it's really a pleasure to see all you guys. If I can put in a plug for the AKBBA, you guys go to akbba.com and go ahead and see what we're doing these days, and go ahead and sign up for a new membership. Some people think that their membership is lifelong, but that actually isn't the case. You got to stay active. So go to akbba.com, and in fact, I think I'm going to go to the website and put a little story about this whole meeting that we just had and this promotion up on the website, so even more people can see it. But again, congratulations, and good night from Texas.
Thank you.
sir.
Hey, this is Bob Wall. Keith, I want to thank you and Rudy Smedley for everything you've done for Texas karate and martial arts in general. You guys are winners, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. It's good to see you.
Chief, Mr. Yates, before you go, this is something that's been waiting 3 years, and I know that you and Mr. Steen have been wondering about this. So, Steve, are you watching?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is something that Mr. Steen, Mr. Yates, and I came up with about 3 years ago. Remember that, Mr. Yates?
Yes.
The honorary Texas black belt. Okay. And you see that on one side, this is embroidery, and this is a regular Dragon brand, real life black belt. And Chuck Norris has got one of these. There's Keith Batali has one, Bruce Brushy, Mike Geneva. And for those of you that don't have one yet, then we're going to be looking at you. So this comes straight from the top. And Mr. Burleson is in with this as well. So it has no degrees to it, but it is an actual Texan black belt. And you see your name here, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Mackey?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Remember, I talked to you about 3 years ago about this.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you had to come to Texas to get it. So Grandmaster Yates, I know Grandmaster Steen's not on this call, so with your permission, I'm going to take this opportunity to present this with your blessing. Is that okay?
Oh, please go ahead.
So, on behalf of the American Karate Black Belt Association and Grandmaster Yates, Grandmaster Steen, Grandmaster Burleson, and myself, welcome to the Texan Brotherhood. This is something that is earned. It is not given away. Okay. So again, Steve Mackey, you are now an honorary Texas black belt.
I always wanted to be
Congratulations.
Texan.
Remember the Alamo and remember Steve Mackey. Thank you for holding on to that, Mr. Yates. I know you have to run. God bless you, sir.
Bye.
Love you.
Thank you, sir.
God bless all of you. We've got to leave.
Thank you, Mr. Walt. And
That's
Bob
a great
Wall
man right there, guys. That's a great man right there, Keith Yates.
He is.
That's a fact.
I think I missed two of our students. Timmy Edwards. Are you on there?
I am, and I really appreciate the opportunity to even be here. This is such an honor, such an honor.
This is Bob's brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bob, thanks for getting this squared away and getting everybody together. This is amazing. So many people from history and the style that I grew up with when you first introduced me to karate, in Bushidakan back in 1981. I started under Mr. Hartley, and then had the opportunity to work out with Mr. Mackey at the Broadway Dojo. The Broadway Dojo was where I got my realization that from Mr. Mackey that of really how to fight. It was amazing. It was a little hard on me, but he helped me understand how to hit and how to get hit, and it was so unusual for me to be able to actually strike a black belt and um, not be um, disciplined for it. It was amazing. So the man, Steve, you're amazing. You're an amazing teacher and an amazing guy. And I've had the opportunity as a healthcare worker to see Steve on an occasional basis here recently, and it's just, congratulations and well earned, very much deserved, and I love you, man.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Very cool.
I just saw that Fred Watson got on here. Fred, as soon as you can figure out unmuting, give a shout out. And I see Keith Washburn down there. I remember Keith from way back. Keith, that's awesome you got on here. You want to say something? You still there?
No, thanks, but it's great to see y'all.
Jimmy, Ann here.
Yeah. Yes, Ann.
Lloyd Doty and I were black belt partners. Lloyd, for whatever the technical reason, is unable to get onto this section of the call. Sorry about that. He sends his congratulations as well. Lloyd Doty.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Lloyd
Anyway,
works
Jim,
with the
Bob Wall, I got to bow out, but I want to say congratulations again to the great one, and congratulations on the rank he's earned, and bless all of you and thank all of you for attending, and mainly thank Jim Hartley for putting this together. God bless you all. Bob Wall.
Hey, Bob Wall. Bob
Take care, Bob.
Hey, thank you.
Love you, brother.
Thank you.
Bob.
Hey, Sean,
I'm going to
your
tell
father
them all
never
while
stopped
I'm
bragging about you, buddy.
hang up, Bob.
What's that?
Bob Wall says Sean Harrison your father never stopped bragging about you, brother. Well earned.
Thank you, Bob.
For sure.
Anyway, love all of you. Blessings to everybody. Thank you all for attending. And it's an honor that Steve Mackey deserves 12 times over, or 1,200.
Amen.
Anyway, God bless all.
Absolutely.
God bless you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Take care, brother.
Bob's been like an uncle to us.
Yeah.
Just like Mr. Burleson. I call Bob the rabbi because he always says, I'm a Christian, but I'm an Old Testament Christian. I do eye for an eye. Chuck Norris is a New Testament. He turns a cheek. And I finally said, Bob, you know what they call an Old Testament Christian? He said, what? I said, a Jew. So I started calling him rabbi because he talked about that was his ministry, to beat up sinners. So we call him the rabbi, but he's a character. Is George Clark still there? George and I had to talk Bob down on, to get him to say, we're only going to talk a couple of minutes, sir. We ain't got a whole night, okay? And we can't argue about who owes you money from 30 years ago either, okay? George did that. George did a good job. Yeah, that's why we call George. Tell everybody your new nickname.
The ambassador.
George walked on.
The
ambassador.
The ambassador.
Okay, well, is there anybody I missed? Just unmute. Bob Cry, are you there? Kenny White, did you say anything?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
We can't. Get closer to the microphone. We can't hear you too well.
Can't hear me too well? Okay.
Now
Yes,
get closer or talk louder. Kenny has a thick mustache or something.
No, that is not so, but it's.
What's that?
I just wanted to say congratulations to Steve. I've known Steve since 1976 when I first started at the dojo in Mission, and would consider myself completely lucky to have trained under him and Mark Payne. Worked out with Sean Harrison, all these guys. And I especially appreciate that Jimmy and Bob have put this together, but it's well deserved, Steve. And I would have never attained my black belt from Bob Edwards if it hadn't been for the training I had under you. So I appreciate it. And congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Steve, Brian McInerney texted me. He couldn't get on here, but he just wanted to give your congratulations to you and everything you did in his life for him.
Well, thank you.
If I can.
Jim, I have a question for you. Jim.
Yes, sir.
If I can get Keith Vitale and Mike Geneva and Bruce Bruschke, these guys are, you know, surely you guys know who these guys are. You know, Keith Vitale, arguably one of the best, if not the best fighter ever. And they so much wanted to say something. They wanted to be on this call, and my phone's been blowing up, but they just didn't know how to make it work. But will it, if I can get Keith on the phone and put it on, take the mute off where y'all can hear it, can, will that mess up the call?
Oh,
I don't think so. I think it's worth a try.
Yep. Just call the phone number.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna mute here and try to get Vitale on the phone. Steve, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I know Keith wanted to say something to you. He wanted to see you too. So I'll be back. You guys go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Let's Fred Watson, why don't you go next if you can, while we're waiting. Fred Watson is one of the top fighters trained under Steve, and he trained some good people like Brent Anderson.
Yeah. I'm calling to kind of see what the event is, first of all.
We can hear you, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm a little bit behind. What's the occasion?
What's the occasion? Steve Mackey got promoted to 9th degree black belt under the World Martial Arts Ranking Association, which was founded over 50 years ago. And Pat Burleson presided over it, Bob Wall, and Mr. Harrison's on the original board, along with all the great guys, Joe Lewis, Gunry, Ed Daniels, just the Robert Trias, all those guys. So what we did, Fred, we got together after we did that last Zoom. We had a meeting about a month ago with George Clark and Bob Edwards and all the Kansas City Black Belts with Sean Harrison, and basically said, how do we go forward from here as a family and a tribe? And you know, we kind of had a theme when we did the reunion: one tribe, many nations. And we all have our one nation, many tribes. We all have a little different tribes. The Kotzer, Mackey, Stillwell, Hartley, Watson, you know. So this was, we decided to join under Mr. Burleson, and we petitioned to have promotions first for Mr. Harrison to 10th degree black belt because he didn't believe in that while he was alive. And then for Mark Payne for 9th degree and Steve Mackey for 9th degree. So tonight we've presented to Steve Mackey. Steve, you want to show your certificate again? Can you show it to Fred or Colin? And then also Sean Harrison, 8th degree, because Sean's just really been a leader through all this. And well, bring it up closer. Look how cool that is, Fred, though. But so we're getting those, and Bob Edwards really key on putting this together, signed by Pat Burleson, Bob Wall, and all of us. Steve, when you come to Kansas City, we're going to get more signatures on there. Do it right like the Texas boys. So that's the occasion. Steve's been promoted, and we have a path forward for a high rank committee like they do in Texas. So for future promotions, the guys that are lost in the shuffle like you, that have still continued to train and get ranked, we have a path forward to get your higher degrees, and then for you to promote your students. And that's what it's all about. So if you agree with Steve getting his 9th degree black belt, this is your chance to congratulate him.
What an honor. Definitely well deserving of all the promotions. I just feel honored. I just feel honored to be able to be a part of the clan and to be trained by such talented individuals. Yeah, congratulations to Mark Payne. I mean, I know the incident with Mark, but still, Jim Harrison, Steve Mackey, and all the rest of you. Congratulations, Steve Mackey. It was long overdue. Long overdue.
Thank you,
I
Rudy.
think Rudy would like to say something there.
Yeah, I have Keith Batali on the phone for you, Steve. Go ahead, Keith.
I just want to say congratulations, Steve, on getting your nice degree. You know, I just received my 10th not long ago, and I'm so honored to be part of the AKBBA under Alan Steen. I mean, it's like the greatest honor ever. So I know exactly how you're feeling right now. I know. I just tremendous.
Yeah.
I want you to know there's people all over the country that know who you are and respect who you are, and congratulations for getting your nice degree.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, you were a tremendous fighter back in your day, and we definitely know who you were. You and Mark Payne and the Jim Harris, anybody of that lineage, we knew all about you. And so congratulations. It's well probably overdue. And you know, they
All I know is every time we went to Texas, we knew we had to fight.
Oh, great. I'm going to Texas.
Your time is almost up.
I know. I know.
No.
Oh, shit.
Well, I rolled it to you. I'm not coming in there. It's a really dumb. And what are we talking about? Just sitting now? Right north ever show up?
So I just wanted to
Got somebody talking behind you.
That is one.
Nope, it was Bob Thurman's house, I think. Okay, I'm gonna let Kung take over.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Keith. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Love you. Good night.
Well, I just want to say when I was 15 years old, when I first was next door playing video games, Galaga, and I was pretty good at it. And Mr. Mackey came next door and saw me playing it, and we still remember this day. I was looking at girls while I was playing the game, and Steve was like, "Keep your eyes on the game," but yeah, that's okay. And from that day on, he said, "Kung, come next door and train with me." So from that day on, I went to train, and within the first 2 weeks, or after the first month, I couldn't pay him because I was 15 years old working on a newspaper truck. So there was a certain time that I couldn't get paid. So I asked Mr. Mackey, can I pay you 2 weeks late because I won't get paid? So he said, you know what? Why don't you teach my kids and clean my dojo? And that's what I did. From that day on, I was like that Karate Kid. And from that day on, he trained me in the ways of the Bushido. And because of that, if I didn't do that or find Mr. Mackey, I think I would have been some punk kid in the street just causing trouble. And who knows what I would have done. But that totally changed my life and shifted me to becoming a martial artist plus a human. He taught me compassion and how to deal with people, how to love and teach. And so because of that, I will forever feel indebted for what all he has done for me. So right now, he and I, we're like, big brother and little brother, and we love each other very much. And he's done so much in my life to save me, because else I would have been some punk kid on the street. So I will forever take care of Steve and everything that he needs. So thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
We all love you, Kung. We're with you.
This whole thing is just blowing me away, guys. I appreciate your participation in this deal tonight, and I don't know what to say. I'm just blown away. But I really appreciate it. So what do we do now? Stand on our head and stack BBs?
I've got two more guys that are calling, Mike Geneva and Bruce Bruschi from South Carolina also.
Hey. please, put the microphone up and let us hear them.
I just texted him. I'm waiting for him to call. You guys
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay.
Don't wait for me. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah. So while we're waiting, does anybody have any really fun stories about Steve back in the days while we wait? So that way we can kind of share some of those laughter.
I can tell you a story.
Yeah, I would
I
hear it.
remember one time on the Broadway dojo, I was probably maybe a yellow belt. I don't remember. I was very wild. And Scott Liebarger was kind of my mentor at the time. And I remember Steve telling Scott, I was sparring with Billy. And after that sparring session during class, Steve told Scott, he says, you need to get a grip on Bob Edwards. Because if you don't get a grip on him, I'm going to get a grip on him. And, after that, I learned. I learned how to fight. I learned how to win. It was really a big deal, because at one time I was just out there flailing around and landing whatever I could land, and then after that, Scott and I worked really hard to improve what I was doing, and I started winning, and it was awesome. But that night scared the hell out of me, and it was pretty, I'll never forget that, but it changed me, and I appreciate it very much. So there you go.
Thank you, Bob.
Mr. Smedley, up to you.
Okay, yes, we got this is Bruce Brushy. Hold on. Bear with me. Bruce, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Steve is waiting to hear from you.
We can't hear very well, Rudy. Can you raise the mic and point it towards the speaker?
Is the speaker up here towards the camera or down here?
Probably down there somewhere.
Okay, I got it right on top. Try it again, Bruce.
We are all in so big trouble.
Oh, still can't hear.
Put your phone on speaker.
Yeah,
put your phone on speaker.
Yep.
I did.
And we were honored that Mr. Harrison sat on our board for our 10th degree. And
we can hear you.
He looked through you. And,
up higher. It's not down low. We can't hear anymore.
Yep. Raise that phone.
Say something else, Bruce.
Nope. Can't hear.
How about now?
No.
Can you hear
there,
me now?
yes. Now. Yep.
Okay. They say they got you now, so go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry if you heard it, but Steve, this is Bruce Brucci in South Carolina. I came up with Keith Vitale, Mike Geneva, and they've always said how tough you were, along with Rudy Smedley. And Mr. Harrison sat on our board for 10th degree promotion under Mr. Steen and Mr. Burleson. And I just wanted to congratulate you. And it's like Rudy said earlier, if he were in the Alamo and had to pick a group of guys, you would be one of them. And I just want to congratulate you and tell you what a great honor it is.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much that means to me, that I'm almost about ready to cry.
Well, I think that's probably the idea. And I just think get on the video thing. We tried for an hour, but it's a big thing, and to know you're so well thought of by so many people, it's a memory that you'll never forget. And I'll tell you, Dan Anderson pulled us aside and he said, and this was after the promotion, he said, it takes a while for it to sink in. So enjoy it, revel in it. You're blessed by many good friends, and then the respect of many. So congratulations, and we're with you in spirit, brother. I wish we could be there in person.
Amen. Amen. I really
Bruce,
appreciate
thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
I really appreciate everything y'all have done this. I just can't believe it. I'm such a caveman technically, so I'm just really appreciate what's been done in here and what everybody had to say. It means a lot. I'm gonna die a happy man.
Well, that's awesome. And I know we're so cool.
We love you, Steve.
AKBBA in South Carolina.
I just
one of the great honors of my life. So
Marietta said,
and hope to see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Bruce.
You got to go to Texas and get your belt.
Say that again. What did you say, Jim?
Thank you so much, Mr. Smedley, for putting all together, getting these great guys to come. You're all, we all look up to you, Rudy, like we do Steve and all the Texas guys. There's a whole layer about, Bob Edwards and 5-6 years behind, but we looked at all you guys. You were like the Chuck Norrises to us, you and Steve and Ray McCallum and all those, your whole league in front of us, DP Hill. That's where we just love going to the tournaments, watching you guys. It's just so inspiring. And thank you for you guys that don't know, I just connected with Mr. Smedley, about a day ago, and he put this together, got about 10 of the top
28 hours
people to, and even more tried to get on. So that's a labor of love. I appreciate it, sir.
Well, Steve and I had 3 absolute wars, and at the end of each one, we hugged each other and we meant it. Didn't make any difference who won. That's not the truth. It made a difference who won, but
we still hugged.
They were kind of like the Hagler.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
like the
we hugged and waited for the next one.
There you go.
What was that, Jim? I'm sorry.
I said, well, I always compared your fights were kind of like the Ray McCallum and Mark Payne barn burners, like the Hagler
like I told you. I told you on the phone that I met Mr. Harrison when I was 19, and Ray McCallum met him when he was 15. So there's 4 years between us. And Mark and Raymond had their deal, and Steve and I had our deals, and they were all hard fights. And I mean, at the end, like I say, I'm glad that's over. I won some and lost some with Steve. Doesn't make any difference what the record is. But
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. The fact is that we turned a lot of people on with getting it on, didn't we, brother?
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of inspiration. Steve had biggest heart in the ring, and just made us all change our lives. Steve, that's what you did.
No,
Marietta came and got.
No,
I snuck to go steal birthday cake because I got a grandkid having a birthday, but Marietta said I didn't congratulate you, and I apologize, but I definitely am been blessed by just as my sensei and friend and like a big brother for all these years, and you definitely would deserve 10th, but I think Mr. Harrison would come back and demote you if we promoted you before him. I hope 9th makes you happy. I have so many stories with Steve where he humbled me and taught me, and you know, he would mentor you and cheer you up and coach you on. But I just remember I used what happened. I had an incident where some guys were messing with me at the pool. I was kind of a lifeguard thing at Fort Colonies, and I got my street stance. I did what Steve taught me and got my hands and turned sideways and took a deep breath. And I said, I just told him, like I said, hey, you know, make your move or chill out. I didn't say the George Clark, make your move, bitch. George would add it in that, but that's George's. But I just, you know, butterflies, I'm like an orange belt, I think, orange or green belt, 15 or 16. And the guy backed down. But I remember telling Steve, man, my knees were shaking. I was, you know, doing my breathing on his streets and everything you said, but I was still scared. He said, that's okay. Did you know what you're going to do? I said, oh, yeah. I said, I was going to do my Gary Shake hand. As soon as he moved his shoulder, he says, well, it would have been over. That would have done it. Yeah. And that was, I got to say, it was like a supernatural experience where from then on, I was never afraid to fight. Steve imparted, you know, I think spiritually, you know, Jim Cox sent me a book about the Father's blessing. And it's just such a power as a sensei and a blessing to him speaking that faith to me and that confidence made me believe I could do anything. And I wasn't afraid, you know, I get a little butterflies, but I was in 10, 15 good street fights in the next 5 years. And I remember thinking I should be scared. But Steve told me I could do it. And I believed it. We believed in you so much. You know, that's where we all, you know, we have how many national champs, how many of us fought for national title? I got to fight for it a few times. I lost every time. Or if I get disqualified, that was Mr. Harrison's fault. But just you and Mark and the way you guys carried yourself, it wasn't just on the mat. It was everything you did, your personality. And like when we had the video of Mark Payne talking about you, your character, you know, the fruits of the spirit and just how you handle yourself, even as world champion, the humility and everything. So you're definitely our role model, no matter what the legal authorities or whatever boards we have in spirit, no matter what we do, you're the man. Mark Payne's the Mr. Man. And of course, you know, Jim Harrison was the top. But when Jim left Kansas City, it was you and Mark that held us all together. And that's why all this history's here. You know, Bob Thurman, everything he accomplished, he said to you guys. And the trophies aren't, we did save all your trophies. Jerry Yost has, and we have your world championship trophy. But what I want to say is you have hundreds of trophies, and it's all these people that you've touched their lives. So you don't have to do anything but rest on your laurels because you've won the fight. You fought the good fight. We're proud to be part of your family.
Amen.
Absolutely.
I want
Brothers.
to thank
I want
everybody.
to say one thing too, if I can.
Please.
I mean, we're all, you know, over the years, you know, all of us together have been a family, you know, and here this summer, I think we're really hoping that we can get together and have another event just like this, and we want everybody that's here on this call to be involved, and especially you, Steve. I'll come and get you and take you there. You know, it's we appreciate you, and I'm really honored to be on this involved. You know, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you think, Jimmy?
Yes. Well, let's have Mr. Cox. Why don't you close us with your words of wisdom? We'll make that official. I'll stop recording, and then we'll just unmute you guys. Whoever wants to hang out and chat, fine. But we'll make Mr. Cox. Can you officially? Are you there? You can be our signing off. And I appreciate. Like I said, he sent me a book about the Father's blessing. It was cool because that's what I've been teaching as a youth pastor. And kids just don't get that these days. They don't get the role models and the male. You know, learn how to be a man and be blessed by a man. And that's what we have a real privilege to do with martial arts. Not just about us, but it's what we can do for the next generation. So
I think you're absolutely right, Jim. And there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people in the martial arts. I think everybody here will agree who who came in because they didn't have the structure at home. They didn't maybe have the father in the home or a good functional home. And they looked to people like you and the great trainers, the ones I see tonight, Rudy Smedley, Keith Yates, everybody who's been on. And Steve, you've heard it all tonight, how much you bring to those people and how much you change their lives and give them confidence. So I think probably beyond the learning, teaching somebody to kick, teaching somebody to punch, is teaching them to take a punch, but also teaching them how to get along, teaching them self-discipline. That's not an easy thing to do, especially with someone who's been beaten up at home or had problems at home. But I like here tonight and what I've listened to, everybody seems to have that talent, that ability, that development. So it's been a pleasure to be with you. And I got to give a shout out to my friend Sean Harrison, who I'm looking at. George did a great job introducing him. I can go back a little further. I met Sean when Sean was about 5. Now, that dates both of us, Sean. But George was right. This is a tremendous athlete. And you talk about development. I watched his dad develop him, maybe sometimes to a fault. But that was the mark of Jim. He was going to bring the best out of you, whether you wanted it or not. And Sean was on his way to the Olympics when they canceled the Olympics. Now, when you can take a young man and take him, develop him to the point of going to the Olympics, that's quite a development. And that's the thing that Jim gave to us. And that's why I love the guys in Texas, because they could take a person and give them the chance to be all they could be. So it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you for including me.
Thank you. Thank you for the mention. Very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
When I grow up, I want to be like Sean Harrison.
I want to be like Steve. You know that. Yeah. Love you.
I love that.
All right, guys, it's been great. I'm going to get off. I'll give one more plug for the AKBBA and for Olson's group. Check that website. All right.
All right.
Listen, I'm gonna get Jim. I will get Steve's address from you, and so that I can drop this in the mail. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Hey, Sean,
Steve, you're the only one that's received this of the few that have gone out that have not had to come to Texas. So, and that came from Mr. Steen, Mr. Burleson,
nice.
Mr. Yates, and myself. But I spoke up as my idea because I'm the one that got kicked and hit by you, not them.
Boy, good idea, man. I can't wait.
Okay, brother. So, hey, Jim, and all of you, thank you all for allowing me and speaking on behalf of Grandmaster Yates and Grandmaster Burleson and Grandmaster Steen. Thank you all for allowing us to be a part of this great celebration for a more than worthy recipient in Steve Mackey. And Steve, God bless you. And I'm just so thankful for the good time that we had. And that, you know what, those fights we had, they were good times. I was scared to death, but they were good times. And so, you know, I feel like I should be on TV or something because, you know, going up against Jim Harrison's boys, you know, you kind of want to measure yourself for your coffin before you go in the ring. But yeah, you knew you were in for a whooping even if you won. So hey, I love you, Steve, and love all of y'all. God bless all of you for this celebration and for including myself and Mr. Steen, who I promised was trying to get on, and Mr. Burleson got on temporarily. I want to ask for your prayers for Mr. Burleson. Obviously, his health is not good. In reality, every breath could be the last. So, like I said, 51 years ago, he taught me, a 15-year-old kid, my very first lesson. And that's who I got my black belt under. And, Bob Wall flew in to watch me test for black. And, it was a hard deal, but you know what? And guess what? I failed. I failed. Yeah. But guess who was there 2 months later, the very next time and you know what? I did everything right. It was a statement for the California boys to know the Bob Walls and the Chuck Norrises and the Ed Parkers to know that, hey, I just come off winning 16 major tournaments in a row as a brown belt. 16. And I, way too good for my own knitting, as my mom would say. But you know what? That me failing that day was the best thing that ever happened, because it brought out a part of me that I didn't know I had. So, you brought out a part of me that I didn't know I had, Steve. And so what a blessing. And Jim Hartley, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. Thank you all so much. And God bless each and every one of you.
God bless you all. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
And give me Steve's phone number, or it's not Steve's. I need his. I think I've got his phone number, but his address.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
All right.
Okay.
God bless y'all.
We're gonna turn over to. I'm just let Kung unmute everybody, and you guys can visit. But we'll. I think everybody got a chance to talk, so now it's just as long as you want to hang out. But I've got to go to a birthday party and eat cake. Bless you guys. Love you all.
Bless you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
If anybody